Hi there, welcome back to the channel and welcome to something completely different, a review for a change. Now, if you've watched my channel for any length of time, you'll know that I do very few reviews. The reviews that I do are normally on equipment that I have decided I wanted. It's equipment that I've got and tested, and then it's equipment that's usually just very used in my restoration work. If I look around my workshop here, I can see all these gadgets on hand. So they're not stuck away somewhere, they're not thrown aside simply because I've got it, in most cases, either at very reduced price or for free. Now this one was for free. I wanted to get a thermal camera. I don't have one. What I've had is the normal thermometers on the multimeters and one of those beam ones from Unity that I bought ages ago. They're just not good enough. And I was looking at various options. I'd seen some reviews from other channels recently. It's not the sort of thing that you just decide today and get tomorrow, because they can be quite pricey. So I was looking around and then I got an email. It's happened to me before. I look at something and I get an email. If it's Google spying on me, I can just tell it to carry on right ahead and do the same, because it's really worked out for me. So I got an email from these guys and they offered me one of these, asking me whether I would use it, review it, and I could keep it. The problem was, when I looked at the website, it said USB-C. I use an iPhone, so I told them, unfortunately, I had to reject the offer because I did not use an USB-C system, but they corrected me. Apparently, this comes in 2 versions, and they have an iPhone version as well. So I said, fine, send it, and I'll use it for some time and then decide whether I want to present it on the channel or not. They accepted, and this is where we are right now. Now, this is not an unboxing because I have been using this for some time, for about 3 weeks at least. And the reason I'm showing it is because I plan to continue to use it and I like it. I really like it. If I didn't, this would have gone back or got thrown sideways if I didn't want it back. But this thing is actually pretty neat. And I've used it especially in those occasions when just measuring the temperature of a particular point is not enough. This is so cool because this and any other thermal camera that you get is so cool in that you just point it at the section of the circuit you want to measure the temperatures on, and it'll detect it for you. And most of them, from the humblest to the most complicated ones, will give you the hot points, the cold points. You can zoom in, you can go closer, you can focus in and get the temperature of a particular component. And that's exactly what I needed in the past, especially with things like solid state amplifiers, where you don't know what part of a circuit is actually causing a problem. I had that with the Pioneer. I had that with a Marantz amplifier. This thing would have been really handy then. And I've experimented in the last couple of weeks, and this thing is going to come in really handy from now on as well. So not only am I telling you about this now, but I'm sure you'll be seeing it in my videos in the near future, and hopefully long into the future. All right, let me carry on. I've downloaded the app, and I'm just going to plug it into the phone on this side here in the lightning connector, and let's see what comes up. Here we go. This is our simplest mode. It's in the amateur mode, but I'm going to give it I don't like the white hot palette. I prefer this one. You've got a whole lot of palettes you can choose from. It's up to you. I personally prefer this guy here called Iron Red. And of course, what it tells us is it gives us a range of temperatures, the highest temperature, lowest temperature, and it gives us a sliding scale on this side as well. But the most important thing for me is where's the hottest point, and you can easily see that. And it is the back of a tube. Now, this thing does not give us the picture, the camera image superimposed on the thermal image, but you can select this over here and it sort of shows you that. Now, I don't particularly like this. I think this is always good enough to tell me what I'm looking at. You see quite a differential in temperatures, so you see what's going on down there. I've been using it for a while and I haven't found I needed that picture-in-picture. As you can see, it's not something that I would use. I would use it like this. And what else can we do with this? Well, one thing you can do is take photographs, and it just saves it to your gallery, which you can then go and look at. But I'm going to carry on playing with this and show you some of the other features. You can do a video as well instead of just the photos, and that's pretty useful because the screen refresh rate is actually pretty good. It's 25 frames per second, which is pretty amazing actually for this sort of thing. Much more than the usual. Now I believe there's some sort of restrictions in the States. I've only learned that recently. This one doesn't seem to be abiding by those. So again, that's going to go into the gallery over there. Let's go back to this. Now, what I found is I tend to use this more on the professional mode. And we've got some image settings, just so you know. It's got, let's do it like that for now. Brightness and contrast, the usual things. And what else do we have on here? Measurement mode, you can choose high quality, high image quality, a wide range. This gives you a wider temperature range, and the automatic, which is what I've chosen. So it'll switch between the two. Image flip, you can flip it if you're using this on an extension cord and it's somewhere in the dark recesses somewhere. It can be quite useful to flip the image. You can choose how many degrees you want to flip it. I'll leave it as it is. And then, of course, there's the variable correction, which means you can select the emissivity. This is set by default, on default, but you can choose whether you're looking at white paper, skin, wet soil, whatever. That's just going to use that as a reference for the temperature that's showing you on the screen. It also lets you set the ambient temperature, which is by default 25 degrees. Here, we're a little bit lower than that, but no big deal, as well as the viewing distance. What else do we have on here? Temperature display on or off, okay? So you've got the display on, and you can actually have it off. I find it's very useful to have it on. There's one other feature, or one other method of using this, which is the professional thermometry. So you choose professional mode. You've got, again, the other settings on here. But if we've got professional mode, you now have these guys down here. And this allows you to, let me put it like that. If I want to look at that section over there, I can choose a frame, draw the frame on the screen, and now you see it's giving me the temperature minimum and max in that square, in that frame, at the top here. Maximum 40.3, minimum 22, average 26. So I can do that. I can also just delete it and put a point, and then wherever my point is, it's going to give me the temperature at the top there. That could also be useful, and I've used this quite a bit. The one that I've used also is, let me delete that, I can use a line as well. So it'll give me on that line the maximum and minimum and average, same as with the square. And I can have multiple of these. I can have a box down here. It just gives me the line one and the rectangle one, and it gives me two different sets of readings for minimum, maximum. I can then put a point here as well. So you see it's giving me different references all the time with their minimums and maximums and averages. In the case of the point, it's just giving me the temperature, 40 degrees on there. And I'm looking at the underside of this tube radio. Let me clear all that and just go to frame. And I can see that my tubes are already hot, but they're not badly hot. It's not going crazy. It's 41 degrees on the underside, which is normal. But then I can also go closer, and I'll film this and show you what I'm talking about. I've got it on video. Let me do a point. And now I'm going to video it. So when we start looking closer, the colors change because the references are changing. And we can actually go a lot closer there. Let me get that point in there again. So you see that's at 37 degrees. Now there are some components here that should be hot. There's a resistor here. That resistor that I'm pointing the point at is the one that drops from B1 plus to B2 plus. That usually gets very hot if there's something wrong with the radio. It's not hot at all, so I know there's nothing wrong with that. I can look at the transformer. Get away from this for a while. There's my transformer. Again, nothing wrong with that. The only real hot spots are there and there, which are the underside of the tubes. So that's exactly what I expect. And I can look around sort of from a distance. There's the dial bulb, which is normal that it's going to be pretty hot. So that's not a surprise. And I can look at it and see if there's anything that's really sticking out. There's another dial lamp, but not too bad, 38 degrees, that's pretty normal. But you see, and on the underside of these radios, you sometimes get capacitors heating up, but we don't have anything major. We can, just for the sake of it, put it on the simple mode and it'll give you the maximum minimum. But again, if I do this, it'll just warn me that something's going on. If something's going on, I can see the temperature max at the top there. There's a max of 103 degrees. That's the actual light bulb, which is to be expected. 106 degrees C. Those things do get warm, but nothing wrong with that. But you see, I can go around here and see that if there's anything that really is calling my attention, and there's nothing wrong here. I mean, if I look on the top side, I'll see tubes glowing at 100 and something degrees. That's pretty normal. But what I'm normally looking for is capacitors that are overheating because they're leaking, or resistors. But I see absolutely nothing that is cause for alarm. Now, this is all very good on something of this size, or this looked at from this distance. But when you want to go closer, you've got that macro lens, which makes things a lot more interesting if you're looking really close. Now, I can't go really close to this. I don't want to go with a phone or anything metallic to the insides of this tube radio, because there are high voltages everywhere. But I've been using this and I've found some things already that I would have taken a bit longer to find. But this thing's already proven its worth, and which is why I'm so excited about it. I've wanted one of these for some time and now I have it. And look, you can see the phone that's recording. And the phone isn't too hot. Whoa, great stuff. Brilliant. Okay, let's stop this recording. That's in the gallery and I can share that now. But if I now go to look at some more of the functions, let me clear that. I've got my finger on there. Let's see if this flips around. Yeah. Now my camera's on top there. And what else can I do with this? So if I look at the settings up here, I've got a few more options. There's the professional or simple. I've got my image settings, which allows you to set for automatic shutter switch, continuous image. You might need that. I don't use that. You've got measurement settings, which allows you to choose the units in degrees C, Kelvin or Fahrenheit. That's very useful. The temperature alarm, so you can set it to give you an alarm if the temperature is higher than, let's call it, I don't know, 100 degrees. 100 degrees C means I can boil water. So I can set that to 100. And it'll give me an alarm if it detects more than 100 degrees C. A low temperature alarm, not interested in that, but I can set that as well. And there's burn prevention, which what it does is it'll prevent excessive heat signature from damaging your lens. So that's pretty useful as well. So those are those settings over there. The general language settings, again, choose the one you want. You've got two choices, Chinese or English. Guess which one I've got. Theme settings, day mode, night mode. I just leave it as system choice. Watermark settings, I haven't even seen what that does. So I'll leave that. And of course, there's a full help menu on here if you want to look at that. But quite frankly, the best way to use this thing is to play with it. I've found that generally works best. Just play with it, get to learn how to use it, and you'll find some things will surprise you. After a while, it just becomes second nature. And that's the whole idea of using a device like this, that you can actually start using it in a way that makes sense to you. So yeah, I've got myself a thermal camera. Now, I've spoken about this, but I haven't really told you much about its characteristics. One of the amazing things about this is that it's got quite a resolution. This thing's got 256 by 192 pixels, which is pretty amazing for this size device. It allows for 25 Hertz refresh rate, motion capture. So you can actually almost do a live video. And it also works from minus 20 degrees to 550 degrees C. So again, quite amazing. But the other thing it does have, and it comes with this particular one that I received, is this guy, which is a macro lens. And it's magnetic, so you just put it on there and it clips into place very neatly. See that? And it allows you to go in really close to some of those. If you're working on surface mount components, you can go in as close as you want. And I'm going to show you just how accurate this thing can be. So let's put it onto a little board that I've got here. This is actually one of those cheap component testers. It's been giving me a bit of a hassle. I don't know whether I'll find a problem here. That's not the issue. But I want to show you how this thing works. And I'll do it on screen capture so you can get the same view that I get. Right, so what we're looking at here is this device. Mostly you see my fingers because that's the hottest thing on the display. But it is distance. In other words, it's not really getting too close up. If I wanted to see specific components, let's try that. I suppose I could, but it would have to really be sticking out like something like that for me to really grasp it properly. But if I take this lens and just click it on here, now watch what I can do. See that? I can go down all the way to that's a microprocessor there. There's obviously nothing hot here at all, but the hottest thing here seems to be the crystal until I get up here, until I get to there, which is the power supply. I've got the supply and the charger in there, but I can really go in pretty close to get a fairly good idea of what's going on down there. And I've got, what is that, diodes, 40 degrees, it's not a problem. The problem I've got with this is that when I charge this and leave it for just for one night, it loses its charge. It's supposed to have incredibly small leakage currents, but it doesn't seem to be doing its job. Now I've removed the charger. That's going to cool down, as we can see. But I think you get my point. You can go in very, very close with this and see what components are heating up. That's probably just normal. I still haven't found this. What I'm going to do is leave this for a while and let it get down to room temperature in power off mode. And then I'm going to come in here and see what is different. In other words, a device that's supposed to draw microamps when it's powered off shouldn't have anything hot in here. And whatever I find that's hot, that'll tell me that that's the cause of the problem. So there you go. The long range one, which I used on the tube radios, and then the macro lens, which I can use really, really close up and get into those little, really small surface mount components, find out what's going on. Okay, brilliant. Well, I guess from all that, you can tell that I'm quite happy with this little baby, and I'm still amazed by its size. It really is neat. I don't think it's going to go back in the box. It's going to go into a little bag here because I want this handy, just like I've done with all the other things that I'm using. So there you go. That's my look at the InfiRay P2 Pro thermal camera. Quite an amazing little device, something I definitely will use. In fact, have used and will continue to use. And what I've been given is a list of shopping sites, and also with the promotion code. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, go down into the description. You can order from there and get yourself a great discount. It's all described in the description below. So once again, thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed that. If you have, click like, share, subscribe, and all that jazz. And if you want to support the channel, you can do so on Patreon or PayPal. Links in the description below. Thanks for watching. Bye for now and stay safe.